to another episode of This Old Empire. As you can see, been doing a little bit of work while we've been off camera. Here's our COM-8 frame for R2-D2, for our droid. You see it's currently laying down sideways, and the legs are not attached yet, or the feet. And that's strictly for the purpose of, it was time to put the center lift mechanism in, from Kevin Holmes, inside the COM-8 frame. So remember this, we're doing a, this 232 conversion kit is native to Kevin Holmes' frame system. It is not native to the COM-8 frame. However, there are a lot of us out there with COM-8 frames that all want to be able to do it, so this is the video series that shows you how you can do it. Alright, so to catch you up, took the bottom plate off of my COM-8 frame, so you can see here all the posts and the rear supports. And then this is the center lift mechanism. I'll slide this out of the way here a second. Now this of course does mean I had to remove I had the power inverter and also my audio supply here in the COM-8 center ring to the bottom ring. Okay, not a problem. It's good. Moving in this center lift mechanism to make him do 323 is going to entirely change where everything goes anyway. So it's just better to take it all out and start over again. So with that being said, you can see it is a fairly large and robust box. This is a center area that you can use to store anything. So basically, right now it is in the locked down position, and it uses these slides. Here are these 4 slides that are drawer slides, and basically Kevin has a whole thing in his thread, as well as instructions where he talks about how strong they are when it's in the closed position. You try to lean on that drawer and it's not going anywhere. When it's in the extended position is when it gets more weak. So fortunately for us, Kevin reversed the process. So when it is at its lowest point in 323, the center foot shell is all the way down and the slides are at their lowest position. They're condensed, collapsed all together. So this is absolutely as rigid as it's going to get. When we retract the center foot to go into 2-leg mode, these slides come back up inside the foot in order to pull the foot the slides come up inside the box in order for the foot shell to come inside. Now when that happens, yes, you're going to have a little bit more, the slides are going to protrude up into the upper portion of your astromech. However, it doesn't require as much stability because you pulled the foot out of the way. It's now hidden by the skirt, it's now inside, and so you don't have to have as much strength with these slides because nothing's weighing on it. All the external weight is out on here on your legs. So really, really cool concept. He's got his tilt motors here. There's a motor controller that goes in here that moves the shoulders, and we'll get to that install later. But really just want to get overall into this. Alright, so you can see I've already gone ahead and mounted this. So what did we have to do? Just kind of turn this around. Alright, a couple things to see. So these are the normal mount holes. These circular ones are the ones that correspond to these posts over here. And you can see right in here and here are where it connects to the frame struts on the back portion for the rear door. Okay, and then you have a hole that's right here, 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 and here. These correspond to these long screws that hold the skirt on down here. One of the things that needed to be done is because James and Wayne's frame, Wayne and COM-8, their frame has a bit more gaps and more space around for an eventual system that they were developing. In order to make this fit Kevin's frame, there had to be some adapters made. So the adapters look like this. Alright, so this is a paper cutout that I used in order to do placement. So we'll set it like this. And that's what it looks like on the other side of this frame plate. Okay? So basically the holes line up. These again are your skirt connectors, and these ones have to be added in order to mount through the adapter into the actual lift mechanism. Alright? So you can see this is a portion of the aluminum. It's about 1/4 inch piece of aluminum. Very, very strong. It's already got this nice, beautiful shape to it. This portion of the cutout is basically to keep the cables from slopping and having cables or anything else potentially get involved where all these lift mechanisms. So that's why we actually close this up, is to reduce as much possibility of any cables escaping or getting down in where all this stuff is moving. That would be bad juju, bad things would happen. Alright? So there's a corresponding one, sits over on this side, looks exactly like that. Alright, no questions. Okay, so in order to make, with standard with any holes, you just want to make sure they match. So this, we used a 1/4 inch drill bit, just went through, validated, because these are all 1/4 inch screws. Just made sure that it was nice and clean, went through, also through the adapter plate hole, got those aligned nice and neat. Alright? This small hole, which is what I said right here, and here, there, okay? That mounts this plate, the adapter plate, to the frame ring. The intention is it goes through this adapter plate, through the frame ring, and through this plate as well, which has a hole matched up for it. You want to do this in kind of stages. You can't rush it all together. So first you got to have your bottom ring off and the plate. Once you get these holes lined up and ensure that they are perfectly fit, you're then going to mark and drill out those 2 holes. Recommend a drill press, because then you can get it. I used a number 7 drill bit because it's smaller than a 1/4 inch and let me get a 75% thread. I did a 1/4 by 20 thread, and that allowed me to get it in there, and then I was able to use this 1/4 by 20. There's 3/4 inch button head screws, and allowed me to get these all lined up together nice and neat. Did it for both sides. Then you're going to take your center lift mechanism and you're going to match it up to the same holes, and you're going to have to, you may potentially have to adjust things around. Again, this is building, not assembly. The reason I say this is there are these small hex button head screws that go down here that are part of Kevin's frame assembly. Now, in some places, this may shift, his center lift mechanism may shift ever so slightly. He builds a jig to get almost everything pretty square, but obviously it can shift just a little bit. And so you're going to have maybe 1 millimeter or so of spots where the adapter plate touches one of these hex screws. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to, I used a Dremel, just put a little small concave curve just from one of the sanding discs. So one of these small 60 grit sanding discs, just basically went along the edge right in here and basically just made it 1 or 2 millimeters indentation, just large enough for these button heads to not be interfering with it. That allows everything to line up. The other thing is, you really want to make sure that all of these holes and these holes on this adapter plate stay aligned with your bottom ring. That may mean that you need to elongate or enlarge holes on the bottom of the lift mechanism. Alright? These 2 pieces are critical. This one is not as critical because it's going to be attaching through them to hold it in place. So you have some fudge factor. So as you can see, we already have a 3/4 inch, find my exact component here. So these are button head cap screws, stainless, 1/4 by 20 by 3/4 inch. Just picked them up at Lowe's, real easy. So those are in place, and then I have some number 12 washers, just one on each side. That allows it to basically, as I had to enlarge the hole ever so slightly on the bottom of the lift mechanism, it has a lip on it, and that allowed me to ensure that the screw stays perfectly aligned with these 2, the adapter plate and the bottom ring, and has plenty of surface tension, surface area to pull the center lift mechanism. And then you can see those can easily pass through. There's a washer that goes on this side, and then this screws down into the skirt. And that brings us to where we're at now. Alright, so the skirt holes normally go right here, but that means the skirt actually comes right about here on where these slides are at and the cables portion. So that presents a problem. So we'll turn this like this. Hopefully you'll be able to see. So you can see, potentially right there, And I know it's offset, but I'm doing this for purpose so you can see that there's a section of this that interferes directly with this. So the portion of the skirt, well, you could say the portion of the lift mechanism interferes with this boxed out portion of the skirt. It's about 1.5 to 2 inches deep and about 6 inches long or so. Let's see. 7 inches long. So 7 by 1.5 inches. Alright, so I've already gone ahead and I have cut out a portion of my skirt right here. And I still need it on this side. But what that allows us to do is we'll align it. You can now see that it still needs to adjust just a hair, about 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch this direction. But you can see this no longer has any interference whatsoever. So that allows it to get nice and tight back to the bottom plate. And then we will not have any interference as this goes down, because these are not going to come any lower. This is the lowest point at which they're going to go. So we'll go ahead and finish the cut on the other side and go ahead and get our bottom skirt mounted. And just to show you, this is, like I said, 1.5 inches by, what did I say, 7 inches. 7 inches that I removed. That is about 1/4 inch just beyond the edge of the slides on either side. It does not matter what your orientation of the skirt is. Now, remember, this could be completely different if you don't have one of these aluminum skirts. If you've got a fiberglass one or another one that you've manufactured, they all have slightly different mounting holes. So these mounting nuts, as you can see, I've red Loctite it in because I don't want them to go anywhere, correspond to the COM-8 locations. Not everybody is using a COM-8 frame. Not everybody has the same skirt. Not all the skirts have the same mounting mechanism. So that is why Kevin did not put the mounting screw holes through the lower lift mechanism. You have to place them where you need them. The important thing is that they secure, and then you can adjust the mounting holes. Easiest way, once everything was all together, I just went ahead and drilled through, marked it, and I just used a handheld drill with the 1/4 inch bit, went right through. It's very easy because you already have two that are perfectly aligned. You go through, it pulls right through the, what is it? 1/4 inch, maybe 1/8 inch aluminum. So it went through very quickly. All 4 of them are aligned. I used a sanding disc just to touch up, make sure I got all the burrs off between all the layers, and then there are no other issues. I don't think there's anything else, so when we come back, I'll have the other 7 inches by 1.5 inches cut out, and we should be able to see it align on and be able to go ahead and try mounting our skirt onto here to verify that it works. And then before we fully mount it on, I just want to make sure that everything's aligned. We'll go ahead and reattach the bottom ring and the center lift mechanism into the actual body of the COM-8, and then we'll make sure that the skirt is attached and kind of work it, because as you can see, there's a lot of pieces, and this is not overall light. It is, for me, easy to move, but you know, for the average bear, not necessarily. So one of the things you'll probably see as we start coming back after we do this test fit is we are going to change how we're arrayed here in the shop, in the hangar bay, and we will have the frame down on a lower bench table in order to be able to work on it, so that we're not having to move as many components around all the time and then start running into more issues. All right, and with that, without being further ado, we will see you when we come back. Thank you. All right, so we're back. As you can see, we've gone ahead and got our skirt attached already, and you can see, if you look in here, you can see the 1/4 inch that we gave to 1/8 inch is just perfect. It just fits on just out the outside edges of the slide, so there's no overall impact. It's a nice, perfect fit. And then we gave basically a 1/4 inch just above the edge of the slide, so as things move around, you know, it's not directly butting up against. Now, so the only thing that I suggest, so I was hemming and hawing about how thick the adapter plate and the bottom of the mechanism. It adds an additional 3/8 of an inch. And if you remember, the screw that I showed you that goes through is supposed to have a washer as well. Well, you've now lost an additional 3/8 of it binding down into the screw post. So I don't think it's ultimately necessary. I think you have between 1/4 inch and 3/8 of an inch that's actually locking into the screw nut, or the bolt. However, I'm probably going to swing by Lowe's and see if I can find a little bit longer screw that's either 1/2 inch or 3/8 of an inch longer, even 1/4 inch longer, just to give me that little bit more thread in there. The other reason you might want to do this, so one of the challenges I had is before you could look down inside the COM-8 frame while you were lining this up, and you could get the screws in. You can see it, the screw post real easy, and you just drop it through, connect, no problem. Well, that's changed a little bit now that we have all these adapters and components on there. So having a little bit more length should also make it easier to get it lined up in position and then start getting it tightened down. Now, it is fully attached on here. As you can see, it's all on. I just haven't tightened the screws down, so I still have about 1/4 of an inch. If I took the washers off, I would gain, you know, a 1/16 of an inch. But again, I like having the washers there. It just provides that extra surface area to provide the pressure against, which really just ensures that it's not going to go anywhere. As you can see, this thing is robust. I mean, Kevin's made this. You know, this is 1/8 of an inch aluminum on this side. This is 1/4 inch aluminum on this side, 1/4 inch on this side, and then this is 3/8 aluminum on this side. So this thing is going nowhere. It is well reinforced, very strong, very durable. Once we get it all in place and everything, I think it's going to be absolutely a hit. You know, Kevin and I have talked about whether we need to put, if you look at his instructions, he has aluminum bars, aluminum plates that go in on the sides and provide reinforcement against the frame. However, the COM-8 legs are so thick and so well reinforced, it may not actually be required. The fact that this moves nothing at all is a good sign. With all these leg supports or plate supports in between, my guess is it's not going to move. But we'll go ahead, we'll hit the Lowe's, get some longer screws, put those in place, and then when you should see us, we should be back here having it all connected inside, mounted on top of this bottom layer and the skirt. And then we will know how rigid it is and whether we need to take these side plates off and put some mounting plates on there. But as for now, I am very happy with the way this looks. This is really coming together. It's very intimidating at this point. Just seeing the very cool engineering that Kevin has put into this. My hat's off to him. He's organized all of the cables for you based on each of the motor sides, and then has excellent documentation, so he's even paired them up so you know which sides go to which, and you can connect it up to Sabertooth controller. So absolutely very impressed. Here you can see, make it a little easier, here you can see the adapter plate, 1/4 inch adapter plate, how it sits on top of the COM-8 frame. I recommend ensuring you have that on there. Don't try to bypass it. Potentially could bypass it. Since you already have, you know, the lower hole, you just need something to ensure that it doesn't just go from the skirt, but also attaches here. I think there, you know, based on my observations, there is enough surface area that you could bypass doing this. I really don't think you should. It just adds that much more rigidity. Plus, then what you have is, instead of a small lip of, you know, about this much, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch of this bottom 323 mount center mechanism sitting on the edge where it could potentially lose, you're now distributing this out over almost 2.5 to 3 inches out across the frame, which then distributes it even more. So this really just reinforces it. This is not going to go anywhere. This is not going to be your point of failure if anything happens. Even if you faceplant doing 232, it's not going to be while it's in two-legged mode. It may be while you're dragging the center foot in, transitioning to three-legged mode, or you're not going out, you're not putting you're not lowering the center mechanism fast enough. But based on how stable this is, my guess is even if you're lowering down, tipping forward, or actually tipping back, and that center mechanism came down, even if you're all the way back and it's still not on the ground yet, you would still be good to go because it's just such a stable arrangement. It's only shifting its weight back. So it's really phenomenal. Looking forward to it. I'm going to pop one of these screws out just to make sure I have the right thread pattern and dimensions on it. And I will let you know what I pick up and find out. And from here, life's looking good. We will talk to you guys on the next time on This Old Empire. Thanks for tuning in.